Now, regional literature. Regional literature, also known as secular literature. Literature means written information. Here we can take some examples like poems, stories and dramas. Okay, and in your textbook some more example is given like Jaydev's Geet Govind. That Geet Govind describes the relationship between Lord Krishna and their gopis. Gopis, we can say that female cowherders. Okay, and another example is given Chanbardai's Prithviraj Raso. In that source, what it is mentioned? It is mentioned about the battles of Prithviraj at that time with Gauri of Afghanistan. So what we understand, with the help of all these regional literature, it helps the historians to construct the past. Also, the different literature is available in different languages like Tamil, Telugu, Punjabi, etc. That all these literature give us the information related to the past, whatever happened at that time. Now we move toward the religious literature. There is a difference between regional and religious literature. Religious literature means the literature which is written as text related to religious tradition. Okay. Now here, for example, we can take religious belief, spiritual aspiration, mythologies, we can say stories of god, goddesses, rules or laws related to particular religion. All these are mentioned in religious literature. If we see that Bhakti and Sufi movements also spread and become popular in the north and southern India. The saints of Bhakti and Sufi, they wrote the poems, or we can say they sung that poems or poetries, and in that it is mentioned about the lifestyle, the tradition of the people, those who are living in the ancient period. Also the epics like Mahabharata and Ramayana, which is translated in different regional languages so that easily understand by the different people.
Now the next topic is calligraphy. Okay. Now what is calligraphy? Calligraphy is the art of forming beautiful symbols by hand. It is used majorly in decorating monuments, pillars and tombs. Okay. Now this kind of writing is called calligraphy, and in the medieval period most of the manuscripts were written in this form only. You can see here I have made two pictures as an example, floral design and geometrical design, because they used this type of designs for making the monuments and tombs or in the pillars. Okay. Now next, archival records. Archival records, also known as government documents, because these records give certain information related to the different dynasties in the of the medieval period. Okay. Now these includes we can say royal orders, treaties between kings. Treaties means contract, or we can say court records, revenue records. Also we can add manuscripts, secular or religious literature. Okay, so these sources give us a lot of information about the past and also give us important information about the administration policy. That means how these empires were administrated on of those days, and help us to reconstruct the history by the historians. Now we already understand about the literary sources. Now we will learn about the archaeological sources. Now what is archaeological? Archaeological means the material remains of the past civilization. We can take example like coins, pottery, jewelry, toys, monuments, inscription or paintings, or we can say so on. So first we will take here inscription. What is inscription? Inscription is nothing but it's a writings and text carved on the solid objects. Inscription is what? The writings and text carved on the solid objects. Now, the study of inscription is known as epigraphy. What? Epigraphy. Now, these inscriptions are available in different languages. Details what we get from this, that is dynasties names, royal orders, and gifts given to the temples, villagers, and also to scholars. Now, who are scholars? Scholars were the person with a full knowledge of a particular subject. From inscription, we also get the information about the social and the economic condition of people of that period. Evidences are also available about the medieval period, like Chola inscription of Chola dynasty, who was ruling at that time in southern India, and also the inscriptions on the walls of the Taj Mahal, Red Fort, and Rajput palaces. Now the next topic are monuments and numismatics. First of all, we will understand monuments. Now here I have mentioned that monuments are a large impressive buildings or palaces with historical background. Okay, for example, we can take palaces, forts, temples, mosques, tombs, and other buildings. Now what type of detail we can get from these monuments? Who built these structures? Okay, that means what type of technology or engineering skills they have used at that particular time. Here some of the examples written in this textbook, like we can say Purana Killa, Red Fort and Jama Masjid in Delhi, Taj Mahal of Agra, Brideshwara Temple in Tanjavur, the Hawa Mahal in Jaipur, and the forts of Jaisalmer and Gwalior. So they are very famous, okay, because from these monuments we can get the idea, the historians get the knowledge or information about the particular type of monuments, how they built, and what was the architectural styles utilized by that time of people. Okay, so here this gives us a detailed knowledge about the idea that is giving more idea about the life of the people. Okay, now we move towards numismatics. Now what is numismatics? Numismatics means the study of coins. Okay, yeah, it is study of coins, and these coins were made up of, that is, gold, silver, copper, and lead, and these coins were found out by the archaeologists during the excavation. Excavation means a process of digging. Excavation means process of digging. So from these coins what we can get the information, that means who issued them, either the king or queen, the dates of their ruling region, okay, and also we can get the idea about the financial strength of the particular king. Here we can take one example which is mentioned in the textbook. They got the coins minted during the region of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So from that coins we can understand the economy of the particular king, and the same coins were also they found in the several other parts. Okay, so what we can get an idea that either that places were included in their kingdom, or they were doing the trade or business with that particular region. Okay, so these type of information we can understand from these coins. Now the next topic is sculptures and paintings. Okay, now what is sculptures? Here I have mentioned the art of making statues. Okay, the art of making statues. Many beautiful paintings and sculptures are available of the medieval period. We already understood about the medieval period, na? So they got lots of paintings and sculptures related to that period. The sculptures means the art of making statues. The statues, either it is made up of carving or modeling or by casting. Okay, so these figures are mostly of king, queens, god and goddesses, and they made of bronze, stone or wood. Okay, So here in the textbook itself you can get example, a statue of dancing Shiva is mentioned and is placed. So that is very famous statue of the Chola dynasty were ruling in the southern India. Okay, and if we talk about the paintings, at that time various themes were based. The themes like court scenes, palace scenes, mythological tales or hunting scenes. Apart from these scenes, miniature paintings are also very much famous at that time in medieval period. So I have here attached some of the pictures. You can see that this is the sculpture, it's a statue. Okay, next we can see here the miniature paintings of medieval India. Okay, this is the court scene, understand, palace scene. This is also both where the mythological tale scene. So these are the some examples I have mentioned. Okay, so with these you can get somewhat idea. Now the last topic is oral tradition. Now what is that? Oral tradition. Here oral tradition means people sharing their views or stories in their own words. Okay, understand? People were sharing. They often we often hear about stories from our parents and grandparents. Okay, but the historians, what they say, that these oral traditions, we can't rely on them. They are not that much authentic or reliable. Why? Because these stories change from one person to another person, because these changes are by the different people. Okay, so that is why they are not saying that this is that much authentic or purposeful. And oral tradition, we can say it's a method of gathering, that means collecting, preserving, that means keeping them safe, and interpreting. Interpreting means translating the language from the ancient language of the memories of the people. Okay, for example, we can take stories of Prithviraj Chauhan or the story of Kabira, Mirabai. So all these are the examples of oral tradition. Okay, now here we conclude this chapter. What the last paragraph says about that, what is the quality of a good historian? A historian who is the person who is writing the past, okay, with the help of these literary and the archaeological sources what we have studied in this lesson. So before writing whatever the past, the sources are judicially, that means carefully checked and then analyzed, interpreted before writing any of the part of the history. Okay, now hope that you all understood the aspects of this lesson. Thank you.